Hi and welcome to the second in the Back to Swimming series with me, Wayne, from swimmingcyclingrunning.com. And again, we've got a session plan this week and I'm just going to post it over here. And remember, everything is below in the description, so you can go and you can print it off and take it to the pool with you. And we're going to explain the drills again and everything else that we do within this session. Remember, this is a series, so you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any future sessions that we're uploading for you. Now, we are going to explain all the drills. However, we're not going to go over drills we did last week, so I'm just going to post up here the session for last week. And if you haven't seen the drills from this week, then please just go and look at that and you'll get all of the explanations with examples. As always, we start with a warm-up, and this week we're doing 2 times 200 meters. I suggest you take about 20 seconds in between each. The times are really only for examples, so I can calculate how long the actual session is going to take. So the first one, slowly but surely increase your pace. And the second one, we're doing something slightly different. We're going one length, a steady pace with really good form. The next length, slightly harder. We're actually trying to swim hard. We're going to turn good form into speed, and that's what we're trying to do to finish off our warm-up. Right, we're now going to put on some fins to do some kicking and drills. Now, if you haven't got fins or you want a new pair of fins, there's a really good link to a pair of fins that are absolutely excellent, Alpha fins below. These fins are very light, they actually float on the surface and don't drag your feet down. And that's incredibly useful for triathletes who tend to have heavy back ends. So have a think about that. If you want to, you can follow the link below and get them. But we're initially going to do 850s kicking. I'm going to do them on 1:15. If you take longer than that, don't worry, just take 15 seconds rest and go again. Now, the first 4 are kicking on your side, changing after every breath, which we illustrated in last week's session. The second is kicking on your side with one arm ahead, changing every breath. As we haven't explained that, here's an explanation with examples.
So here we have a swimmer about to perform the kicking on the side with an arm leading, changing every breath drill. Now, it's just a couple of little pointers. If you can have the hand not pointing to the side of the pool, but the palm of the hand directly pointing to the bottom of the pool, that will be good. Also, when we look, we actually want to look in the direction we're swimming, especially for triathletes, because that will put you in the direction you actually want to go. So you want to look forward and down, not across the pool. So let's just start this swimmer going. Now, she takes a breath and then moves from one side to the other with one movement. Now, notice with the legs here, we're kicking very much from the knees and not from the hip. We'd prefer to be kicking from the hip, but this position is absolutely lovely except for that hand rotation. So she kicks, takes a breath, and then back in and rotates from one side to the other in one movement. That's great. Now we have a second swimmer, and this swimmer is very much kicking from the hip, and you can see it's a lot smoother. Take a breath, head back in, one side to the other. Let's just go back there. Now, when your head's back in and you're about to move from one side to the other, we really would like the elbow held very high. You can see the elbow's taking a drop here. She's pulling the elbow back. And what that means is that she's actually pushing down on the water. You can see that, push down on the water. Instead of that, when you're doing this, try and keep your elbow high and make your hand and forearm low, and that way the force will be that way and you'll actually be pushing back on the water instead of down. We're taking a look at someone doing the kick on the side drill, and everything at this point looks really good. We have someone who's fairly parallel to the surface of the water, and that's exactly what we want. His hips are up at the surface, his shoulders just out, his head's in the right position looking forward and down. Something happens though when he takes a breath. You saw that. He took a breath and everything moved from the surface because he lifted his head and twisted his body to do so. And that meant that everything slipped from the surface. That's not very streamlined, and of course is going to slow down every time he does that. What we want effectively is you want to think of your body as having a rod of steel through it, that everything can effectively rotate around, but you definitely cannot twist it upwards. So that's how you want to think of your body with this particular drill. Keep that spine absolutely locked in, rotate around it, but please do not twist to get your head up to the surface because everything else falls.
We're now going on to a set of drills. We're doing 15 times 50 on 105. Again, if you can't make 105, just take 10 to 15 seconds rest. We're doing 3 each of extended shark fin, catch up, single arm breathing to the non-stroking side, finger drag, and then single arm with a pull buoy. Now the only one we haven't illustrated from last week is single arm breathing to the non-stroking side, so let's once again go back to the computer and have a look at that.
Now here we are looking at someone doing the single arm drill, breathing to the non-stroking side. Now he's taking a breath currently, and one error is that he's twisting his body to do so. We really want, if possible, to keep those hips right at the surface by keeping a straight spine. It's hugely important with all these kicking drills and single arm drills. Now he's going to do the drill fairly slowly, which is the best way when you start. His head goes back in and he takes a stroke. Now we'll look at that again. He's going to breathe, and then his head's going to turn back in, and after his head's turned back in, he's going to go for the catch. And that's the perfect way to do this. You can't go for the catch until your head's back in the water. And as you drive through underneath the body, you need to whip the hips out the way as he's doing there. So he's whipping the hip out the way by turning his body away from the stroke. And you can see his head stayed in exactly the same position. So do it slowly and you'll do it correctly. If you speed it up too much, you can make an error. This swimmer here is pushing down immediately that they get into the water, and that is not helping her with the stroke. All she's doing is pushing down, effectively trying to push her head out the water. So that's happening. That's quite common when you first start this drill. Remember, what we want to do is extend that arm, wait, take a breath whilst the arm's extended, and then as the head turns back, make the catch.
So we've been doing some fairly slow stuff, really considering our form and our stroke. So now it's time to build things up, and we actually are going to do a build set of 3 times 50s, again on 105, where our fins are off, and we're going to go steady, medium and fast by 50s. We're now going to our main set, which is all based on race pace swimming. Now if you're a swimmer, race pace swimming should be for something like a 200 metre or a 400 metre. If you're a triathlete, we're taking your race distance and trying to hit your average 100 split that you want to make in that distance. Now, after that, we're going to take 1 minute's extra rest before we do 2 times 100 metres with 10 seconds rest in between each. Now again, we're aiming to hit that triathlon race pace 100 split. So really make sure you look at the clock when you get in and get that 100 split, and all you're taking is 10 seconds rest. So this is slightly more taxing than the previous one. Our last swim on our main set is 1 straight 200 metres done at exactly that same pace. Now here you're actually going to see how much fitness you might have lost, because in the 200 metres that's when you're likely in the second half or even in the last 150 to start tailing off with speed. If you don't tail off with speed, then well done, you haven't lost much fitness during the coronavirus problems. Now after all of that, we've just got to swim down. I've put 150 metres, but you can extend that if you have more time. Now all of that is 2,450 metres, and I expect it to take you approximately 55 minutes of actual swimming. So that's session 2 complete. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please just put them below. Any comments also, just put them below. I'll try and get round to answering all of your questions as soon as I can. Thanks very much for watching. Enjoy the session, enjoy your swimming, keep well.